This looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
Welcome, Soul Seekers. My name is Patricia Rivera-Wolfson, and I'm one of your soul guides.
Hi, good morning. I am Linda Krause-Barnett. I am your other soul guide. Welcome to your time with Soul Seekers TV. And today we want to talk to you about information overload.
Mm-hmm.
And how that affects you and how it affects you differently depending on kind of where you are emotionally as well. And so what Trish and I were discussing a little earlier is, just right now, the depth of information that our kids have access to, that we have access to, anything can be Googled. The news is on a constant loop. It's just it can easily overwhelm you and overstimulate you. And what that also entails is receiving mixed messages, So you've got this content over here streaming and telling you that, if you encounter resistance, just sit in it and let it flow through you and be in it. And then you've got this over here saying, no, you got to push through resistance. You got to work through resistance. You've got to plow through. And sometimes even as adults, but especially as children, it's really hard to discern, well, what is it? Okay, so I'm up against resistance. What do I actually do? Do I plow through? Do I sit and kind of let it flow through me? And knowing when, because the answer won't always be the same. It's not a generic answer. So sometimes, yes, the answer is let it flow, sit and be still. And sometimes the answer is plow through and get past it. And so the question becomes, well, how do I know when to apply the right solution to the right problem? And so what we would like to offer is that inner journey of, really understanding why you're in resistance, how it's serving you, and okay, what in this particular manner will be the best approach, and there's been times where I've needed to be still and I've plowed through and that hasn't worked out. And vice versa. There's been times where I should have plowed through and I sat back for a little too long. And one of the things Trish mentioned, and I'll let her touch upon it too, is how to distinguish between letting that block be and allowing it to just exist so that you could learn from it. And when does that become wallowing? When did we sit and how long do we sit and when do we go? And so I just think that those are tough questions. And as human beings with emotions that are very powerful, those answers could be really hard to hear for ourselves, which is, I think, why we search for external confirmation and validation so much.
Yeah. And I think that, we, as Linda was saying at the beginning, with too much information, I mean, it comes at you from a young age, and, everybody has their opinions of what works and what doesn't. And it doesn't matter what industry you look at. It doesn't matter at what you are looking for information on, especially in this information age where you can go on the internet and Google anything, and you will get opposing, very firm rules as to what to do, and there will be completely different rules depending on who you ask. Right now, as you guys know, I have a new puppy. So whenever I look up something to do with the puppy, I will find completely opposing opinions on what is good for him and what is bad for him. And the arguments are incredibly convincing. So this is for everything. I mean, certainly our children are older, but when the kids were young, in, new motherhood, you're Googling stuff, and there's people that are on both sides of the fence or on either side of the fence on just about every topic in child rearing. Cry it out, co-sleeping, breastfeed, bottle feed, too much love, or too much togetherness, independence, all that stuff. It doesn't matter what you're looking for, you will always find the answer. And that's, both good and bad, right? So whatever it is that you believe, you will find somebody to support your belief. And that's a beautiful thing. And also, it can be kind of confusing because if you're not confident in your belief, if you're not sure which way you want to go, you can easily be, see the convincing argument of anything. And so, as Linda was saying, specifically with the topic of resistance, and that comes up that comes up in everything, but it comes up a lot in the entrepreneurial journey. It comes up a lot in the healing journey, like you have blocks, right? And we've talked about money blocks, and it's like I have this block preventing me from making money. I have this block preventing me from succeeding in my business. And there's the school of thought that you need to first release your blocks and then you can move forward. And then there's the other side that's like, forget your blocks, just work through it and solve it. And like just get things done. And the truth is that all of the things can be applied. And what's most important is for you to develop a relationship with yourself to understand what is right for you, because it will change. And there's times, as Linda said, where you want to move through that resistance or like push yourself through. And there's other times where you're just going to want to sit in it and maybe take some time to heal that wound. But for me personally, and one of the things that I really believe, and since we're throwing out opinions, I'm going to add my own to the mix, and then, don't take it as law, but if it resonates, maybe it might be something you want to look at, is the main thing when you're trying to accomplish something. Is that Joelle walking?
She's like, la, 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 la. She's homesick, by the way. She's not just...
But getting better soon.
Getting better right now as we speak. Yeah.
So when you're, whenever the topic of resistance comes up, it comes up in reference to like you want to do something, but you feel resistance towards it, right? Like, so maybe you want to apply for a job, or maybe you want to, launch a program, or maybe you want to, attend an event, or you want to spend money on something and you feel the resistance. You're like, which can feel, resistance is one word that we use in the industry, but it could just be hesitation, like where you feel like something's stopping you and you don't know why. And the truth is that if something is stopping you, and if you feel that resistance, you're probably not going to be able to move forward in the way that you want or get the results that you want if you just force yourself to do it. Now, there's a lot of opinions about this, but I do believe that what you can do and what will be, a way to go with the flow. And, you guys already know that I'm a big Abraham Hicks fan, and this is something that Abraham says all the time, is when you're having resistance, you need to sort of step back and go around it. Drop the thing you're resisting and then find something else that gives you the feeling that you want. So if there's something that you want to create, if there's something you want to take action on, let's say you need to make a really important phone call, but you're really afraid to make that phone call. For you to just sit there and try to think your way through that fear or think your way through the solution, it very often what you end up doing is just, creating this even more intense feeling of fear and resistance, because you're just like spiraling, like, oh my God, but if I call and then, the response isn't what I want and I really don't want to. And it ends up building the resistance even more than releasing. So one of the ways that I advise people to sort of get through that is remove yourself from the thing that's causing you resistance in that moment, not like drop it completely so then you never do it, but just remove yourself and choose to do something that will put you in momentum. And so very often something that puts you in momentum is either movement or, doing something that feels good. So it might be, I'm just going to go declutter my closet. That's going to make me feel like I'm being productive. So what happens is you disconnect from the thing that you need to do, right? The thing that you feel like you should do when you're hammering yourself going, why can't I just make the call? It's so important. I should do this. I'm such an ass, right? And then you go, okay, you go declutter the closet. And as you start to remove things and go through things, I picked declutter. It can be taking a walk. It can be going for a run. It can be going to lunch with a friend. Something that just removes you from that vortex of frustration and anger and guilt and shame. And you go and do something else. And the other thing that you're doing, decluttering the closet, is starting to make you feel good, right? So you throw things out, you're sorting through things, and all of a sudden you feel like this lighter energy. And because you're not focusing on the thing that you need to do, it allows your mind to sort of open up. And then all of a sudden, whether it's a solution comes or courage comes or momentum, right? Because then you're like, wow, I was really productive. I cleared that closet. I feel really good. Now's the time I'm going to make the call, because now you're feeling good about yourself. So you don't want to make the call to someone important or do something important if your energy is off, because it's going to be like, it's probably not going to work out as well as you want it to. So what you do is then you go into it with the momentum, like, I feel really good about myself. Now I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call. And then you do it with a different energy. So it's not about having the resistance and then, well, I feel resistance, so I'm not going to do it at all. It's about figuring out how to kind of go through the back door and find your energy, your like energetic alignment, and how to find that like feel good feeling, so that then when you go into the thing that was difficult to do, you're doing it from a different energetic place. And, you know, that's, I think, a much better way to go through it. So it's not letting it go. It is shifting your energy, stopping what you're doing, shifting your energy, and then coming at it from a new perspective or a fresh energy. And sometimes that may be a couple hours later. Sometimes that may be the next day. Maybe you need to sleep it off and be like, this is a terrible day. I can't do it today. And the important thing is understanding yourself well enough to know that, you know, which way is going to work for you. Like maybe you'll be like, if I sleep it off, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and then it's gone. I'm not going to get it done. So if you know that about yourself, then you know, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, but I know I have to do it today because I promised myself. That's what building the relationship with yourself is all about, and understanding that the information that comes to you from all the sources, what resonates with you, what you read and what you see and what people tell you that you feel in your heart is the way, that's the way. That's just, you know, my 2 cents on that.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, the kids don't have their toolbox yet. In fact, I'm 44 years old and I don't have all the tools in my toolbox yet. And I think that's the beauty of these ups and downs and highs and lows, is you kind of experiment with, I've tried things that haven't worked. And so that comes out of my tool belt, you know, and I'm like, you know, that, but I have other things that I've been really successful with. You know, working out is something that helps me reset. Journaling helps me to reset. There's tools I have that I know they won't work in every occasion, but I'm going to try these first few things because they have worked for me in the past. And then if those don't work, then I kind of become more creative in learning to find new tools. You know, but like meditation, for example, is a tool that I know works because millions of people on the planet say that it does. I have yet to get into a zone where meditation has been able to work for me. That is totally, I know that, you know, that's part of the problem, is getting out of your own way sometimes so that the tools can be working for you. You know, it's really hard for me to get quiet. So I thought, okay, well, meditation, a meditative state. So what does that mean, right? It means that you connect with yourself. And so the best way for me to connect with myself is actually the opposite of silence. You know, when I listen to music, when I am working out, the louder I make my surroundings, oftentimes, the more I can hear my own voice. And it's the silence that shuts me down. Now, I don't know if that, you know, I'm sure Deepak Chopra would probably be like, no, Linda, that's wrong.
I doubt Deepak Chopra would say anything.
I doubt he would say that's wrong. But I realize there is a benefit to just silence, you know. It doesn't work for me. And so instead of forcing that to be my solution, like, damn it, silence is supposed to work, you know. And so instead of creating silence, which really just creates a lot of stress for me, I put music on, or I dance, or I sing, or I work out, or I journal, and those things work for me. And until they don't, and I, you know, then there's no reason that can't be my meditative state. If I'm finding the answers, if I feel connected to God, if I feel connected to myself, that's a meditative state. And however, if it's a bath, if it's washing dishes, which it is not washing dishes for me, I will tell you. I don't know where that came from. That was a brain fart for sure.
I
No,
find washing dishes meditative
yeah,
for sure.
no cleaning has ever put me in a meditative state. I can assure you, I am not that girl. However, organizing doesn't, like you were saying, declutter your closet, which is awesome. Organizing stresses me out to the nth degree because I'm one of those that overthinks the organization process. So I'm like, oh crap, and then I'll start organizing my organizing. So then that's not a thing. But the key, it doesn't matter, it's like, stop trying to find other people's solutions to your problems because they're unique to you. You are unique to you, and do what works, do what feels right, and stop, like, if you hear something that someone advises you or suggests and you want to try it, great, that's awesome. But if you're finding that it doesn't work for you, allow that to just not be in your tool belt. It's okay, and so I think that there is so much information on how to fix a problem or what will work for you that sometimes you just need to know, I like going to the beach. When my father passed away, I went to the beach every single day and listened to the ocean. And that was therapeutic. I had music on, but it's just, you've got to find what makes you feel good when you're feeling bad and use the good and just keep giving yourself more of that. And it's like you put gas in the car when it's empty. So you put happiness into your body when you're sad. And eventually you fill up the dark with the light. And eventually you fill the sad with the joy. It takes time. And depending on how sad you are, it takes a little longer or not so long. But I guess what my point is with too much information is be guided by you.
Yeah, definitely. And figure out when you figured out what works for you, then you'll know what works for you. And sometimes, as Linda said, what worked for you one time doesn't work for you another. And that's okay because we're always evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't want to give you too much information today. So we are going to go. And
we have our show this week.
Yes,
we will be airing our show at 11 o'clock on Thursday on YouTube, as we have down here. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SoulSeekersTV. If you have not subscribed, do so, and make sure you ding the little bell so that you can get notifications of when we have new episodes and new videos up. And until then, we hope you have an amazing week.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody. Have a really good week.